claims that Biden has dementia, and he's the one who's going to take away your health care, even though Trump himself said Medicare and Social Security were dead on day one of his second term. Meanwhile, Giuliani conveniently finds Hunter Biden's lost emails in his pants on the set of a new Borat prank. All this and more in the latest episode of The Last News Desk on the Left. Oh boy. I'm MacPaladin. Nominally. And of course we have the usual crew here. Adam.
I see we've got an intro blurb
Sort of.
now. Well, it's evolving. Now.
Kevin's here.
13 days. Can we get it over with, please?
We got Petty Fan in the hizzy.
I didn't die again this week.
Alex is here.
I am.
And from the land of Kentucky, Twilight Winter.
Hello.
All right. We've got a show tonight. We'll see how it goes. Anybody want to start this one?
Do we have to?
We were so lively in the pre-show. What happened?
Yeah, it's more like this is something that, you know.
Well, it's more. I don't want to talk about Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
Let's start with the billboards then. I mean, this is fucking amazing to me. Trump has been going on and on and on about how Joe Biden has dementia. Never mind the fact that he has an actual speech impediment, which is a legally recognized disability, because that is so on brand with Trump to mock the disabled.
Yeah.
But these billboards are something special. I mean, which super PAC put this shit up with the dementia spelled wrong?
Who says it's a super PAC?
Right?
Just
it was Trump himself. He wrote the copy using his patented Sharpie.
Or
Yeah, it's on par for an attack with frickin' he'll listen to the scientists.
Yeah. Yeah. That's gonna be his attack, you know, yeah.
Somebody find a picture of the billboard, put that up on the screen.
Oh, God.
This is just unbelievable.
Mass concern and panic.
Yeah. Is it really all that unbelievable with this pack of jackals?
No.
Oh my God. Not even remotely.
At least pack of jackals have some sense of, calm.
No, what I find unbelievable from this administration would be being magnanimous, showing kindness and empathy, being competent,
being a human being.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Trump did almost accidentally threaten a kindness on the American people by saying that if he loses the election, he'll leave the country.
Yeah,
he's probably actually going to do that to avoid being put in prison.
Because New York is waiting for him.
Yeah.
How much you want to bet that he won't even wait until January 20th to do it?
Oh no, he could just leave for Christmas vacation and never come back.
If he absconds on November 4th, I won't shed a tear. Yeah. I know there are people who want him in a prison cell. Look, if he is in fucking exile, I don't care. I want him gone. Just gone.
And he can take the basket of deplorables with him.
Yeah. It's like...
Well, his people are going to still be around and they're still going to be talking loud, but rather with him gone.
I think it depends on the people. Like, I don't see Rudy Giuliani being a thing past this for...
Thank God for that. Thank you, Sacha Baron Cohen, at least for that. No chance in hell of him recovering anymore. Thank God.
You say that, but do keep in mind he is an old white guy.
Yeah, but still. I mean, this is an old white guy who's, his past is prime.
Once again, you say that, but, we have people defending Jeffrey Toobin in fucking op-eds
Yeah.
And by the way, no,
I'm not saying that there's not going to be people out there who are going to try to rehabilitate him, but it's not going to work. There's a difference between trying to do it and it being actually successful. Is what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
I mean, yes, he's an old white guy, and yes, there's going to be people who are going to try to still make him a thing. He's not going to be a thing anymore after being so closely attached with this freak show in every conceivable fashion.
Plus, I'm pretty sure the only reason Rudy hasn't been arrested himself is because Bill Barr's the head of the Department of Justice. If that stops being a thing in the next few months, he's probably going to end up in prison alongside his actual partners in crime.
Yeah.
Remember, 2 of his contacts, business associates, are under indictments right now. Like I said, in fact, I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of people who will be going to prison
for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the latest baffling set of strategies to try to quote unquote avoid losing and avoid prison, Trump is now using all of his own stated policies as attacks against Joe Biden, which are this is really a strange strategy to me. So, what was it, a year ago that Trump said that if reelected on day 1 of his second term, he was going to cancel Social Security and Medicare through fiat or something? He was going to write an executive order.
Yeah. Something like, or it was more like wait, did he attack Joe with that or?
Yeah, he says Joe is going to take away everybody's health care.
Oh, yeah.
But Trump himself said a year ago that on day 1 of his second term, he needed to wait for some reason, even though he has the Republicans in charge of the Senate. He said on day 1 he was going to write an executive order if the Senate wouldn't, if the Congress wouldn't pass a resolution to
cut the payroll tax, to zero out the payroll tax. Yeah, to
zero out the payroll tax, he would do it himself. And so no, he explicitly said Social Security and Medicare were dead in his second term.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's saying that Joe Biden is the one who's going to take away everybody's health care. And it's like,
well, it's like, well, the ACA decision is going to come possibly in a Biden term, so the Democrats slow your health care. It doesn't matter that it's going to be conservative Republican judges that'll kill it. It'll come during the first year of Biden's term. So, therefore, it's dumb.
Some interesting stuff about how instead of actually court packing, that the Democrats would be wise to codify some Supreme Court decisions into the actual language of laws restricting the Supreme Court's ability to actually legislate from the bench.
Well,
which I thought was a rather interesting tactic. And they said that what they should do is they should draft an actual court packing bill and set it on Nancy Pelosi's desk for her to stroke like her evil cat, periodically whenever the Supreme Court stepped out of line. So they wouldn't actually forward this bill. They would just keep it there in reserve with no time limit on the off chance that they needed it.
Yeah.
To use unfortunate parlance,
of course. Yeah, of course, we're smarter than that. And, if we decide that we're going to do it, we're going to do it, and we're not going to wait. So, on the other hand, the possibility exists that a bad decision comes down, ACA, and we act upon that.
Right, well, that's what they said. That it's more like holding it as a chip in reserve. FDR.
We're not going to do that.
Yeah,
I can almost see that logic for getting rid of the stupid thing if there's no actual money behind it, but that's because they didn't build it strong enough in the first place because they were trying to compromise.
Well, as I was about to say, FDR did mention doing it, but a lot of people keep saying that he actually physically tried to pack the court. He didn't actually try to pack the court. He spent all of his political capital with the Senate
And
using
the Senate
it as a threat.
Yeah.
He didn't actually do it. That's a thing. That's one of those convenient historical lies that a lot of people like to postulate, is that he actually proposed.
Yeah,
he actually put forward legislation to do it, and he did not. He merely suggested that he was going to do it and lost the respect of his allies in Congress.
Yeah.
There is a difference now.
Yeah, the difference now would be is that number one, the president would be a former chair of the Judiciary Committee.
Right.
Second of all, he has pretty close ties with people who are going to really matter, and if he is coming around to this, if Biden himself is coming around to this idea, and he actually is, if you listen, and so is the guy who succeeded him in the Senate, Chris Coons. He's also coming around to this concept now. There's not going to be a conflict between president and Senate at all.
Yeah, because in all honesty, it was the left wing of the Democratic Party that suggested it anyway. So it's not like it came from him.
Right. And it's also going to be a situation where, the public is right now against it, but of course, the public was also against Obamacare at the start, and well, everybody came around to it, and so will be the situation here, especially if a 6-3 conservative court starts going hog wild.
Yeah, it starts repealing everything and starts handing out red cloaks.
Yeah, which thankfully will not happen because the Democratic Party is not going to just simply go, well, can't do nothing. No, they're not going to do that, because if they do, they'll lose in 2022 and 2024. They're not going to depress their base.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the big problem is that, we talked about the supermajority in 2009 and how that went.
Yeah, well,
the problem is the supermajority doesn't work if you don't actually still vote as a block. That supermajority had too many people who didn't actually agree with everything.
Yeah, that's the problem, because the moderate Democrats in 2010 were still of a blue dog conservative variety, on the one hand, and on the other hand, but I would argue that, we did get that stimulus package at the start of it, and then we got the Affordable Care Act before that majority ran out. So we did at least get something out of that.
That took a fucking year. The problem, it should not have taken that long for them to get that.
It shouldn't have. But the problem is the reason it took that long was because of the blue dogs over here, and
I was getting to that point, but yeah.
Yeah, that is not going to be the case in a potential Democratic trifecta in 2021. That is not going to be the case. And even if there are moderate Republicans, the only conservative Republican is Manchin, and even he's probably not going to be able to resist.
You mean Democrat, but yeah.
Yeah, the Democrat. You know what I meant. But It's like the conservative Democrat really in the Senate is Manchin, and even he and other moderates are going to, even in the moments that matter. In the critical moment.
He's been fairly in lockstep. There have been other times where we'll call them pragmatist Democrats have come forward and said, well, you know what? We're not going to be able to hold this off for 3 years. So
it's like even those Democrats who are resistant to these ideas, I consider myself a pragmatist myself, but at the same time, you can't ignore reality. It's like if you sit back and you let a 6-3 conservative court legislate from the bench, you're going to have problems. You have to step up. You have to answer. You can't let it slip, especially when it involves critical issues that will affect tens of millions of people.
Yep.
Also, I really hope that even since then, the Democrats have gotten a little bit wiser to the meet me in the middle says the dishonest man gambit.
Well, I think you could still do that, but there has to come a point where you have to stop that and let them come to you. Well, look at what's going on with the stimulus right now.
Even if you start your position a little further back,
right? It's like it's like you come down, but they have to come up. That's the thing. If they refuse to come up, then that's it. And that's been the case. It's like we've come down, they've just refused to come up, and because they refuse to come up, there's no deal then. I think after the red wave came in like 2011, and that first fight that we had, which led to those tax cuts, that first package, I think after that everybody wised up because we didn't have a big like deal thing after that. So I think everybody understands what the situation is, but we have to talk a good game because there's still a lot of people in this country that want bipartisanship. You know, the people who aren't plugged in, the people who aren't, you know, follow the news every day. No, you know, they still believe in a concept of two political parties who can come in the middle. Regardless if that's not in reality at the moment, but they still believe in that. That's why you have to say such things. Now, when the moment happens and reality shows that that's not the case, you know, you still act accordingly. I mean, you can still say we should come in the middle, but at the same time, when the moment happens, you don't have to necessarily do that.
Well, I think the problem that we're facing right now is the 2 cent.
This is also the fact that the Republicans are already shifting back to their austerity mode.
Well, particularly in the Senate. Am I being heard?
Sorry, go ahead. No, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't suddenly muted.
No, you're muted.
Okay.
Yeah.
The problem right now is that we are facing the 2 sentinel gambit. The difference is we actually know which one is the liar.
Well, you know, we know that. The people who are plugged in, the people who are in power, everybody knows that. The people who don't know that are the people who aren't plugged in. The people who aren't obsessed with politics every single day of the week. The people who don't watch the news every day. Those people have an idea of two political parties that may conflict, but can easily come in the middle when they need to. They still have that belief and that concept, even though it's not the reality.
I think we also have a bigger problem with single issue voters still.
Yes, we do. I mean, that's true too.
We're always going to have a problem with that.
We're always going to have a problem with that. So, you know, look, this is the reality that we face, and the people who are in charge, I think, understand that. Early on, like 2011, 2012, they probably didn't. But after 2012, everybody figured it out. I think everybody knows that now. I mean, we still have to talk to the people who aren't plugged in, who still think that there's a possibility of compromise. We have to still say things that are nice about that because of it. But everybody knows what the reality is at the moment.
I just hope the Democrats actually have the spine this time, because the thing I always hear from my conservative light, friends and family members is, oh, well, the Democrats just never do anything. And it's like, they need to take a Sherman-esque scorched earth approach.
Look, they're going to. They don't have a choice. Because quite frankly, there is going to be no additional stimulus until the new term in January, February. Yeah. There's going to be no additional stimulus. So there's going to have to be a big, gigantic package of stimulus that Republicans are going to throw up about, and they're going to bitch about, and are going to try to filibuster about. And there is no way on God's green earth that the Democrats are going to go, well, they're filibustering, so we have to cut the aid here. No. That's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is they're going to say to the Republicans, you either get on board with this or we're killing the filibuster in 5 seconds. Because this is vitally important for not just for us politically, but also the American people and also the economy, not just for the United States, but the entire goddamn world. Because chances are, our economy and the American economy is probably going to have to step up to the plate because Britain's about to be blown up at the end of the year. Again.
Breathe.
So, yeah. It's just, the whole, I just hate do something people. You know?
Yeah.
I just hate that world. I just hate that concept of, well, the Democrats aren't doing anything. It's like, Well, that's because they're not on television and on camera every day. Well, we have the House, so we have a stake in this. But it's like they're not on camera and they're not dancing on television every single 5 seconds saying shit.
No. What I'm getting at is, and this is the argument I use with, say, my dad, for example, who's a dead center Republican.
Right.
Right. And as I pointed out to him, I said, what exactly do you expect him to do? I said, I know you didn't fail civics. I said, so here's the deal. I said, the Democrats pass legislation through the House, and then the Grim Reaper kills it dead. What exactly are they supposed to do about it? It's not like they have it's not like the Senate, where they have the privilege of being able to override a veto from the president. If it gets stopped by the majority leader in the Senate, it's fucking dead.
Right.
So it doesn't matter how much symbolic legislation the House passes. If the Senate doesn't even take it up, it's dead.
Yeah. It's like
and the favored method of control isn't like letting it get voted down even when they have a majority. It's just refusing to even let it come up for a vote.
Well, and there's no override for the Senate to where they could just say, "Well, fuck you, we're going straight to the president."
Of course, there is the discharge petition, but the problem with the discharge petition is that no Republican will touch it with a 10-foot pole. That's the thing. I mean, there is that discharge petition where, the minority gets enough signatures on their side and then maybe enough Republicans that force a vote. Unfortunately, the problem with that is that no Republican will touch a Democratic discharge petition, or else they'll get yelled at by their base back home. And they are more scared of a primary than Democrats are. Because the Democrats actually want to get stuff done, and if they get hurt for it, so be it.
The Democrats aren't ashamed to, write down a list of all the things that they were involved with that went dead because of other people.
Right. I mean, the House has passed bill after bill after bill. Hell, they've passed, 2-3 stimulus packages in the last 2 months, in a couple of months. They passed another stimulus package a couple of weeks ago. Is it going to be brought up by Mitch? No.
And even if it was, it would be killed by Trump.
Yeah. Although, not apparently not anymore, but, that's what Mitch is there for. Because Mitch and the Republicans are back to, hey, let's not do any more stimulus because stimulus makes people lazy.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because well, no, you're right. It was McConnell, because I was just reading an article about this where Pelosi was once again negotiating with Mnuchin to get, and the White House to get the stimulus package passed.
And she still is.
And McConnell just came out and said, "Don't bother."
Yeah, and the reason he's saying don't bother is that he knows his caucus, because you have Lamar Alexander out here saying that 1.8 trillion is too hard. You have Mitt Romney saying 1.8 trillion is too hard. I mean, you have all of these Republicans out here.
Okay, we can do whatever. The amount isn't what matters, though. What matters is what it's actually funding.
Well,
I don't understand.
Yeah, true, but it needs. But considering what needs to be paid for here, it has to be of a certain amount, and that amount has to be 1.8 trillion, 2 trillion.
I think
at least
the thing that baffles me is we're already 26 trillion in the shitter. Why are you being a budget hawk now?
Because this is what Republicans do every time there's a Democratic administration. Every single time.
It's like you spend money we don't have on the regular, and then all of a sudden, when it's not going your way, you want to be a budget hawk.
Exactly.
Yes.
See, the thing is that all the stuff that they actually say is code for we get to spend the money, you don't.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to give it to our corporate overlords in tax cuts. What are you doing giving it to the people?
Yeah. And, pretty soon we're going to start hearing about how they want, entitlement reform again. We're going to hear a bunch about that, which is kind of funny. Which is kind of funny that Republicans are so airtight about the payroll tax, because it'd be a dream come true for them if they really wanted entitlement reform, because it would get rid of Social Security and Medicare, which is something the Republican Party has wanted since the 1940s.
It's absolutely amazing to me. It's like you watch, because if they were to cancel Social Security tomorrow and raid that $27 trillion war chest that they supposedly have, they would not put one fucking dime. They would not put one fucking dime of that into the national debt.
Oh yeah. They'd give it off to whoever wanted it.
But we would be able to buy our own moon somewhere adjacent to Antares.
Yeah, I mean, give it to Elon Musk. He'll do it. He'll do it.
We'll find a way to get to Antares.
Yeah. Just give it to Elon Musk, and he'll buy Antares and name it Planet X to go all the way. Yeah, let's do it all the way with this.
In case anybody's wondering, Antares is about 350 light years away from Earth.
It's a star, not a planet.
Yeah. Buy a moon, buy a planet, buy whatever you want.
I realized that, dude. I was making a joke about the fact that the star that this moon would be in orbit around is 350 light years away. Yeah. We can't even get to Mars reliably before 2033.
Like I said, give about 26 billion. Give like all but 2 to Elon Musk, and he'll take care of the business. Because that's what he's for. He's there for the destruction of NASA by him.
His entire plan for Mars sounds very much like it was lifted from the plot of Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, of course it is.
Him and Jeff Bezos want to be able to take all the billionaires and go to Mars because, quote unquote, civilization is collapsing.
Silicon Valley is going to Silicon Valley.
And to them, I say, why don't you go ahead and ask Glenn Beck how his bankruptcy proceedings in South America are going if you think that libertarian utopia is going to work out for
you? I was just reading about a libertarian utopia that was collapsed by bears.
Which is an oddly appropriate metaphor given the fact that, the communists have always been represented by bears.
Well, considering they're from Russia, so,
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I feel like that's an oddly appropriate metaphor.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
I suppose.
All right, so let's talk about the dingus in the room.
Yeah, let's get this out of the way.
So, Giuliani and Borat.
Borat, first of all.
Borat. Okay.
Borat. I'm a Borat. That. First of all, Sacha Baron Cohen is the king of the ambush. There is no equal between Borat, Ali G, and Bruno. I think was his other one. He is the king of the ambush because he keeps getting people to fall for it.
Man, the man is a living god.
Yes, he is, and he did the sequel, like with nobody really knowing about it, until somebody caught him. Somebody caught him on the LA freeway.
This is just absolutely amazing to me. So let's give our listeners, in case they were living under a rock in a cave with no social media or cell phone access, let's give them a little rundown on what actually. Yeah, let's not dance around it and actually explain what this is.
This is from the sequel that Sacha Baron Cohen put together for Borat over the last couple of months. This apparently happened in, what was it, June, July?
Right.
Because there was a tweet from a spokesman saying that we actually stopped this from becoming too bad. Well, actually, so there's this scene in the film involving Rudy being interviewed with Borat, played by Sacha Baron Cohen, and an actress who I don't know the name of off the top of my head, who plays his, what was it, daughter, was it?
Yeah, it was supposed to be Borat's underage daughter.
Right, yeah. Yes, his daughter is 15, or is played to be 15.
Yeah, the actual actress is 24.
Right. The actual actress is 24, but she's playing a 15-year-old, the 15-year-old daughter of Borat here, and who is also doubling as a journalist.
Yep.
And they have an interview with who I like to lovingly refer to as Big Mouth Rudy G. Yes, that's what I name him, Big Mouth Rudy G. And
the nicknames are appropriate.
Yes.
Especially with who we're dealing with.
Yes. So they have the interview. The interview itself is not the subject that we're talking about here, but after the interview is over, the cameras still roll, and the cameras catch Rudy with the actress playing Borat's daughter. And during the course of that, Rudy decides to take his hand and put it inside of his, Mac, I think you should take the rest of this.
He shoves it into his nether regions.
Yes. And while the actress, who is, again, playing a 15-year-old underage girl, is standing right there. And it is at that moment that, I guess it's Sasha? Or it's somebody?
Yes.
I don't know. It's
yeah,
Sasha?
And he's in some kind of weird fetish outfit or something, too.
No. From what I saw, he just had normal khakis. Is what I saw.
Did? Okay.
I think that's what it was. I'm not. I think it was he. I mean, are you talking about Sasha or you're talking about Rudy?
Sasha, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what Sasha was in, but I know. But yeah, either Sasha or a producer, a camera person, or whatever, then shouted, "Hey, she's 15 years old. She's too young for you." And yeah. So that is the thing that will be releasing on Amazon Prime, coming your way on Friday.
Oh boy!
Wow, the short title is actually Borat subsequent movie film.
Yeah. I mean, everybody was expecting a much gigantically longer title.
What's even more hilarious is that I'm looking at just I put in Giuliani Borat into Bing. And the news articles are, obviously New York Times reports that Giuliani denies he did anything wrong in Borat movie. And then the second one from the Daily Beast says Giuliani claims Borat hit job is retaliation for Hunter Biden attack. And it's like, you filmed this back in July, you fucking moron. Yeah, in June and July, you fucking moron.
Your spokesperson put out a tweet saying that we stopped this from becoming bad. This was an ambush, hit job, whining about the hit job to begin with.
Yeah.
You said that you stopped him, and it's not going to be that bad. It wasn't that bad. Don't worry about it. You and your spokesperson said this back in June. This Hunter Biden shit happened a month ago, while this thing was still in post.
If that.
It didn't even have an Amazon deal yet, so.
Well, no. Apparently, what Giuliani was really looking for inside his pants was the lost Hunter Biden emails.
The totally legit, not Dr. Hunter Biden emails.
Oh, God, I swear to God, Giuliani is such a fucking chode.
Well, among other things.
I'm so sick of this guy.
Well, look, let's be fair here. 9/11 was the best thing that ever happened to him. If 9/11 had never happened, he would have been the New York City mayor who broke up with his wife at a press conference without his wife knowing beforehand.
Because he's a fucking tool.
And then was subsequently replaced by Bloomberg.
Yeah. Well, that's another bit, but more to the point, in terms of Rudy himself, if 9/11 had not have happened, he would have been disgraced. And there wouldn't have been no America's Mayor, no Time magazine cover, none of that bullshit. He would have been the racist mayor who was in charge of the broken windows policing policy that was racist as all hell. He would have been the guy that, that Disney-fied Times Square. He would have been the guy who broke up with his second wife at a news conference. He would have been a disgraced mayor. He wouldn't have been anything special. Then 9/11 happened. Although then we later found out that on 9/11, the Office of Emergency Management was in the World Trade Center, despite the fact that it was a terrorist target, and he gave crap communications equipment to some of the first responders because economic policy. So,
yeah.
But at the end of the day, the reason why Rudy Giuliani is a thing is because of 9/11, and 9/11 caused caused the entire country to be in a coma pretty much from the moment that second plane hit the second tower until New Orleans was underwater and with Katrina. That was 4 years and a presidential election. So,
yeah,
Rudy Giuliani is a thing because of that, and it didn't even lead up to what he wanted to be, which was, president. So, you didn't get the president, but hey, you get to be humiliated in a Borat film. Congratulations, good sir.
I mean, to be fair, for him, it's about the same.
The American public will take pity on him, and they'll determine that his humiliation publicly is punishment enough.
Yeah, well, there'll be some of that, but I think the vast majority of the American people are going to say, "Get that guy out of my fucking face."
Well,
because here's the thing. Here's the thing. We're only describing a written synopsis of the scene, and we only have a static still pic of this. The full thing comes out on Friday, and apparently, from what people who have actually seen it, it's actually worse than it's even described. So.
Fine.
It's one thing to have
the October surprises just continue to hit.
Yes. I mean, it's one thing to have a static picture. It's another thing to have a GIF. The GIF is coming, and you know it is.
Why? I could go my entire life without seeing this.
Because reality just likes to fuck with us. That's what it is. The Lord is testing us.
Clearly. And I think as a species, we have failed that test.
It'll definitely be on I Can Has Cheeseburger before
the
movie has been out for a year. Oh, yeah.
Well, at least it'll be on Giphy in the morning.
Yeah.
It'll be on Giphy within 10 minutes of that thing being on Amazon Prime. If that.
I'll give them 15. They'll at least need to find it.
Well, considering it, all they have to do is just scroll around that scroll bar. It'll probably take like 5-10 minutes.
I'm sure we have a lot of varying opinions on the pronunciation of that term, but I'm going to correct you. It's Jiffy, and I'll tell you why it's Jiffy, because the joke is that you'll get these images in a Jiffy.
GIF.
Yeah, I'll call them GIFs as soon as we start calling it Graphics.
Also, wasn't it a pun on Choosy Whatever's Choose GIF, the brand in there for?
All right, Mr. Guy Raffs. on the Saren jetty. Guy Raffs on the Saren jetty.
Whatever.
Don't pull that fucking static pronunciation of letters bullshit. You know goddamn well that both J and G have alternate pronunciations.
Okay.
It just doesn't fly with anybody who knows the first fucking thing about English is that the rules are whatever somebody says they are.
Me speaking the English real good.
Yeah.
Lest
we also trot out the racist white gatekeepers argument in opposition to Oxford English.
Good thing anymore these days, but yeah.
There's your hot take for the day, folks.
There you go.
Well, that and me calling Giuliani a chode.
I mean, how is that a hot take?
Yeah.
It's not a hot take. It's more like a mild take. It's more like you put the shower right.
It's more like a room temperature take.
Lukewarm.
Yeah, it's a room temperature take.
Yeah. It's like it's warm enough to be noticeable, but I wasn't terribly discomforted by it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we've gotten that out of the way.
I'm just saying a lot. I'm just saying if we pronounce the word GIF wrong, then a lot of the actual nerd humor involved in these websites that host them would be lost.
Yeah, you can call it GIF. I call it GIF. We'll agree to disagree, and we go on and live life.
Well, no, it's my show.
Yeah.
There will be a blood sport. Wait, what?
Oh my God. Adam's over in the corner. Just thinking to himself, why did I quit chain smoking for these assholes?
What is reality? What is life?
I can just hear him seething over in the corner right now.
He didn't want to talk about this, so.
Adam.
Can't imagine why I didn't want to talk about this.
He's like, well, now we're arguing over the pronunciation of J and G, for Christ's sake.
Well, anyway, I think we'd all prefer to pretend that Rudy Giuliani's body is just a Ken doll.
I mean, if we really want to get into the pronunciation...
Don't even think about it.
Well, I mean, if we really want to get into the argument about J and G, then it's Giuliani.
That's what the
Get
I.
the
That's
fuck out.
what the I is for. Yeah.
It works. It works.
Mm-hmm. It's Giuliani.
Yeah, it's Giuliani, but we can call it Giuliani if we want.
It's like, Mac, you're just making the argument better.
Anyway, I'm on Team Soft G GIF anyway, so.
Team Soft G GIF? Wow.
GIF. That sounds like the peanut butter. Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes Soft G is used to refer to G's that are pronounced like J's.
Okay, Juicy.
It's not a particularly artful term, but people usually kind of know what it means, which is easier to say. Easier than saying what? Alveolar.
Well, and don't forget.
Alveolar fricative?
And don't forget that J is pronounced G when it's in Jesus.
Yeah.
What?
Internal screaming.
Next.
That's your Christians for Michelle Bachmann moment for you.
Yeah.
You want your old Facebook references.
I was going to say, good lord, we're reaching deep in the vault for that one.
Michelle Bachmann, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it light. We got a little heavy there for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, was it really heavy during that whole Rudy bit? I mean, that Rudy bit is where it all...
Well, I don't know. You sounded like you were about ready to have a stroke during one
of
those.
I mean, when I get infuriated about something, it's just like I just got to let it all out and not ball it up, you know?
No, it's all fair. It's all fair. I'm just saying we're diffusing the situation with a little humor.
Yeah.
Before anybody thinks that we have any animosity towards each other here.
No.
What? We don't have real animosity towards each other here?
No.
Well, fuck it, I'm off the show.
More like we have animal magnetism. Wink.
Yeah.
No.
Next, moving on over here. Come on.
All right, so what other amazing crap happened since the last time we streamed?
Dude.
I think we got all of it. I mean, the debate's tomorrow night, so we can't get that in.
I'm shocked that Trump is showing up if they have a mute button.
Well,
yeah, I mean wasn't that his reason for not wanting to go to the second debate?
Yeah, it's like, it's like I need a TV time because I'm broke. I ain't got no money.
I really hope he embarrasses himself again. That would be amazing. Like he's probably gonna do something. I've seen this before where they've had either interviews or debates where they actually had a mute button, because this is not the first time. And what happens is the other person starts talking really loudly so it echoes throughout.
Oh yeah, he's going to do that. Oh yeah, I mean, Biden's going to be. I'm certain that they have a clock. They're going to have a clock in the room when they're looking at the camera or whatever. There's like a clock, and then it's going to have 2 minutes. or whatever. They have that in there, where there's like a green light, yellow light, red light, something like that. And Biden's going to be watching that like a hawk, and then meanwhile, Trump is just going to just yap, and then he's going to keep yapping, and they're going to have to force them to cut the mic off, because that's the thing. Yes, that thing is there, but will it be used? Will Kirsten Walker actually press the mute button? That's the thing. The goal for Trump in his head is to intimidate to that it's not used. That's what's going to be the thing. That's what's going to be Trump's tactic, to force the mute button to be used.
Right. This will definitely be interesting. And here's another thing that I was once again, as a country, we've failed at civics. It's like some people were like, if they suppress Trump's First Amendment right to speak, or anybody's using the mute button, then they should refer that to the Senate Judiciary Committee. And I'm like, okay, once again, for violations of his freedom of expression and freedom of speech. And I'm like, okay, once again, may I remind you that the debate commission is not the federal fucking government.
Yes, it's not a governmental body.
Yes, the First Amendment only applies to government action against the people. If we want to suppress each other's First Amendment rights on our private property, we are not obligated to provide you with a platform.
Yes.
Say,
I can literally mute all of you right now.
Free speech on my front fucking lawn.
Yes.
Whether it's placing a placard or actively screaming at my house with a megaphone, I do not have to allow it. If you were in my living room trying to force your ideas on me, I would be obligated to put a 45 slug in your chest.
or at least tell you to get the fuck out my house.
At least that's what I've been told based on all these new castle laws that they've been passing across the United States.
It's like private corporations, private entities are allowed to do whatever the hell they wish in terms of suppressing speech and in terms of limiting it. It is not a governmental entity. It is not a government body. It is not limited by the First Amendment. Now, there are situations that are requiring of governmental action in order to keep that from being in excess of limitations.
Right. Unless, and if somebody wants to correct me here, unless the debate commission does actually receive a federal subsidy, in which case that puts them in a weird gray area.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, they're around they basically do like one thing every 4 years, and they don't do anything else. So it's like
they are not obligated. They are not obligated to provide anyone with a platform.
No,
I said, prior to 1960, televised debates for president weren't even really a thing. I mean, we're not going to discount
debates. Period. I mean, if you think about it, we didn't really have presidential debates on radio for the 20, 25 years where radio was a big thing before television was even a twinkle in anybody's eye.
Right. It's like they have debates, but again, there's no obligation for the media to provide them with a platform.
Right. It wasn't It wasn't a big thing that every single network has to air and does air.
Remember, the first 4 words of the First Amendment are, 5, sorry. Congress shall make no law.
There you go. Congress.
Or shall enact no law. Congress shall enact no law.
I mean, the first word is Congress. That's all you need to know there. Not a company shall not, or a corporation shall not.
I use that same argument against my conservative friends who were frothing at the mouth about this. It's like, oh, now you're a 1A Republican. When it suits you, now all of a sudden you're a pro 1A Republican instead of merely a pro 2A Republican.
Yeah, you want to be pro A when you see that people actually want to limit the stupidity that comes out of your mouth.
I mean, they're not super fond of the first 4 words of the Second Amendment either.
Right, but what's even more amazing is they want to shove in a justice into the Supreme Court who's an original constructionist.
Yeah.
Who's a textualist who believes that the Bill of Rights and the subsequent amendments to the Constitution are somehow unconstitutional, even though there is an amending process in the Constitution that was followed in every case.
Right. That was explicitly written.
It's like, so how can you be a textualist? How can you be an original constructionist if you deny
the part of the Constitution that says, also, this might need to be changed, so here's how to do it.
Right. So you're basically saying what? That you're stupid? You know, it's like I don't understand.
You're pushing forward a basic solution to complex problems.
Yeah.
It's basic in response to complex, and it never works well. It's complex for a reason.
Well, you know, we could take solace in the idea that if Justice Barrett decides to strike down the entire Constitution itself, that her position will be rescinded when she's sent back into the convent. You know, take solace in the fact that if they somehow strike down the entirety of the Bill of Rights, that she will consign herself. She will consign herself to a nunnery. Yeah. Effectively. And then you know we can put in whoever we want.
Yeah. I mean, anything that happens with the 6-3 court is not going to stand. Is not going to just be allowed to stand and just go, well, we can't do anything about it. No.
We're actually going to run into a situation where it's like, well, you know, the Supreme Court really isn't so supreme after all. And that was one of the things that they were talking about in the Democratic majority, is actually passing legislation citing case history from the Supreme Court itself, using Scalia and Alito's words against them.
They probably will.
By actually putting that into the laws, into the bills.
I'm pretty sure that they will. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's like reminding them, by the way, you made these decisions, and this is how it's going to be.
Yeah,
and if you try to strike it down as unconstitutional, then it's like, so you're saying your own precedent is unconstitutional. It's like so you admit that the Supreme Court legislating from the bench is unconstitutional.
I mean, and if you think about it, the Supreme Court itself, there's not really a constitutional type of situation for the makeup or in terms of how many justices there are or whatever. That was done by a judiciary act, first in the 1780s and then another one in 1860 something.
I don't think that 9 is a good number.
Well, the thing about it is that when the second Judiciary Act was passed, that 9 was the amount of circuit courts that we had. We have 13 now.
Okay, 13 wouldn't. I guess that's still
right. So one justice for every circuit court.
Correct. Yes, that's probably what's going to happen. It's going to be not 10, 15, 20. No. It's basically going to be like, one justice for every circuit, which in the 1860s was 9, and now it's 13. So you're going to add 4 justices. Maybe some limitations in terms of you can't do term limits, because I think that actually is in the Constitution, where it specifically says it has to be a lifetime appointment. So there's no getting around that.
Even if it is,
if they pass the Constitution,
putting on term limits has potentially more downsides than upsides.
Right, exactly that too.
Well, they would have to codify term limits of the Supreme Court as a constitutional amendment.
Right, which would be a long-term problem. But the short term and the logical solution is to not do term limits, but rather like limitation of after a certain point you can't do this, you can't do that, and so on and so forth. And that would actually probably encourage retirements and encourage not people living there all their life.
Right.
So there are ways to do. You have to pass a bill, but you don't have to do this in a way that's overt packing, like putting 10, 20 people in that, shoving it in there. No. If you put it as, this is a modernization and reformation of the court, this is basically one justice for all of our 13 circuits. And, you could do things like, maybe rotate the Chief Justice between the two sides, depending on the administration of the presidency and so on and so forth like that, to make it more fair. I mean, there's a way to sell this that isn't explicitly, we're just backing this court for liberalism or whatever. It's like, no. It's like, you can take advantage of this too. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's what I think is going to happen anyway, if we get to that point. First, we got to get there, but I mean, you could do this in a way that isn't, court packing, because that's the cute word that conservatives like to use and that the media is using, but you throw it back as court reform or court modernization or whatever.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a train of thought, but it went off the rails about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. I kill train of thoughts. That's what I do.
It's like you love to debate, don't you? I'm a master
Yes,
debater.
I do. Yeah. I just like to talk and talk and talk. You set me off, I go on.
No, it's fine. I don't think what I was going to say was that important anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We're at the 55-minute mark here. Adam, do you have any summation you'd like to add?
Not really.
No. You bastard.
I just have to be.
I say that affectionately. Jesus. So yeah, it's been a hell of a week.
And
my mom.
Days.
Yep. Yeah. My mom said to me, "I can't wait for this election to be over so we can start acting like a family again." And I'm like, "No, I don't think you. I don't think you understand. I the people that I have removed from my life for their political views isn't going to change just because Trump is or isn't in office anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
the Republican Party is still the enemy.
Yeah.
Right. And these friends and family members that I have removed from my life have revealed themselves to be my enemy.
That's actually, you know what? That is the beauty of these last 4 years, is that veils have been lifted and there's no lying anymore.
Right. And that's
there's
the
no
thing.
Tap dancing around. There's no, I don't mean this. No. You mean this.
Yeah, I mean, if Biden suddenly becomes president, it's not going to magically change their ideology.
No.
So it's like, no, I will not be attending any family events or Christmas parties or whatever that involve these people anymore. If they get there first, I won't be there.
Yeah, well, especially this year with COVID around. I mean, that COVID's not going anywhere. So it's like, you're probably going to be staying at your own house if it actually gets bad by the time we get to Christmas, which it probably will.
Yeah, but I'm saying in the future.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously. I mean,
it's like a la familia.
Party's going to be in a year.
It's like a la familia. No, this is omerta.
All you got to do is just look at who the people who want to run in 2024 if Trump were to lose. Look at them, hear them, and you'll see that nothing's changed but the names and the faces and the places.
Yeah. It's like these people are no longer welcome in my life. If I've blocked them on Facebook, if I've cut them off my Christmas card list, which was non-existent anyway, they are not getting back on it magically because the election cycle is over. They're done.
Yeah,
I have a cousin. The first person from my family to get cut is never getting back on my list. And if I find out they're at a family event, I will turn right around and go home, even if I had to drive 35 minutes to get there.
Yeah, I mean, supporting this man is going to be a scarlet letter for a long time for a lot of people. I mean, there's no getting around the fact that you supported this man.
Or his policies, or the policies of any other Republican, for that matter.
Yeah.
You're a snowflake. Well, then so be it. I'm unique. Yeah. I'm special.
I mean, technically for a lot of us, we have to be snowflakes because your policies are directly against our ability to live. So.
Yeah. Hi, physically disabled here. Yeah.
Bisexual on the autism spectrum, on SSDI, on Medicare. I mean Medicaid. How you doing?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Exactly. I'm the quadruple right there. So,
All right. Well, on that somber note, this has been Last Newsdesk on the Left for this week. I'm your host, MacPaladin. Slap like and subscribe if you liked what we had to say, or even if you just want to argue with us. We don't give a fuck. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Vote if you haven't yet. Oops, sorry. Go ahead. Dang it.
No. Go ahead.
No. You go to the end. I want to do it at the end, Dad.
All right. So until next time, this is MacPaladin on behalf of the crew of Last Newsdesk at the left. Stay safe out there, kids.
Vote if you